This is a new retro gaming device. It's called a MiSTer Pi. Despite what its name says, it's not related to the Raspberry Pi computer. This is what's called a Field Programmable Gate Array, FPGA for short. What makes this different from other single board computers is that you can program it in a hardware descriptor language so that it can replicate the logic circuits of other hardware devices like computers or PCB boards found in arcade machines. The coding is done in a hardware descriptor language which tells it how circuit blueprints should be implemented, and then they are saved into something called core files for the MiSTer FPGA to load. So this could almost replicate something like a PlayStation or a SNES console, or even the many different PCBs found in arcade machines. How accurate the hardware emulation is depends on how the code was written by volunteer coders in the community. This offers many great advantages for retro enthusiasts as it offers low input lag through parallel code execution. This simple animation shows a simplified overview of multiple logic blocks performing simple operations. Notice how many of them are running in parallel in the FPGA device. So, if like me you were wondering how an FPGA can emulate the circuits of other devices when it's just a bunch of transistors at the electronics level, well, it goes back to something called De Morgan's theorem that states that you can simplify logical expressions using the not, and, or operators. Using these, many circuits can be simplified down. These simplified but still complex expressions are grouped into something called lookup tables or logic blocks. Then these many lookup tables are all connected together by routing channels. Right, next on to unboxing and how it arrived from the Retro Remake store. This is from the second batch of the MiSTer Pis that went on for sale. I did try to order from the first batch when it was available, but I was hit by the address bug and the website was overloaded, so my order didn't go through. Alright, let's unbox this now and see what we have. I bought the Mega Pack, by the way. This comes unassembled, but they do a Turbo Pack which is already set up and assembled with a slightly higher price. I also paid for a blue case. The second batch comes with a freebie, which is this level shifter with a SNAC adapter, which I hope hopefully it's in here somewhere. And there's the level shifter. This converts from 5 volts to 3.3 volts. Then we have an acrylic top, which we won't need because we have the blue case. Here we have a USB-C cable. I'll check that, what speed this is later on. And then we have the 128 megabyte RAM module, which enables us to play more games. There it is. You can tell it's from the second batch because the writing is printed on the memory module itself and not a sticker. You have some standoffs. And in this one we have either a USB hub or an I/O board. So let's check what we have in here. And that is the I/O board. There it is. And then what do we have here? Another box. This is the USB hub with the SNES adapter, SNAC adapter should I say. Revision 1. Basically, you plug your SNES controller in here, the official one, and this goes into the MiSTer. This is the freebie. And here is the USB hub. Next up, we have the acrylic case. Looks pretty good, the blue colour, and more standoffs. And I believe those white things are for the buttons. So let's have a look here. And then finally, we have the MiSTer device itself. Here it is. I'll open that up later on. That is everything we get in the Mega Pack. I'll cut this open and I'll prepare to assemble the case. Right, let's have a closer look at the MiSTer FPGA device itself. Here we can see the Cyclone 5 chip by Altera, made in Korea. And let's have a look at what we have at the side. We have a gigabit Ethernet here, a USB-C port, USB-A port on the side, and then nothing on the side here or here. And then we have 20-pin GPIO here and here, and some headers here as well. Over here we have some slider switches, which are all at the bottom. Over here we also have some headers, not sure what they are for. Now at the bottom we have USB-C port, I believe this one is for power, and then we have HDMI port next to it, and the header as well. Oh, and we've got two buttons here on the FPGA device itself, and we have some dip switches for the FPGA device. Okay, let's have a look what's on the bottom. Here is the bottom of the device. Micro SD card codes here. We have a little header here which connects to another board. Otherwise, that is it. Next stage is to assemble it. Oh, and before I assemble it, let's have a look at this digital I/O board. Basically, here we have 3 buttons: reset, on-screen display, and user buttons. Nice and clicky. And then we have 3 LEDs: power, I believe that says disk, and then user. 2 jumpers, and the that's the I2C port here. We have what looks like a USB port, but it's not a USB port because we have a little warning here saying not USB user port. I believe this is a SNAC port that connects to external devices, original controllers and things like that. And we have a VGA port for analog digital out, analog picture out, and what appears to be an audio port as well. nothing interesting at the bottom. And we have this device here. Not certain what this one is for. Very interesting. Right, I'm going to attempt to assemble it now. I'm not looking at the instructions, I'm just going to see how I get on. Okay, next we put this I/O board, the male connectors go into there, so it skips one and it goes in like that. A lot easier than I thought. I believe that section is done. Push down so there's no gaps between them. Now to put the RAM module on. Here it is. This side faces out, so this is out. Here it is. What I would say is one tip. I would say is push forward slightly on the VGA header if this section is not aligned properly. On mine it wasn't, but as you can see now it's aligned correctly. I just pushed with a bit of pressure forwards. Okay, it's time to assemble the case. Okay, let's try to build this case now. I've taken off the old standoffs from the bottom, all four of them, which were these ones. Put them aside, we don't need them. Now, let's do the top. Get one of these nut drivers, it really helps. I think that's 3mm. And then we find the really short screws, silver screws. This is what we have so far. Test the buttons. Before we put these other two screws in, it's advisable to just leave 2 screws off and put this in, because there's some grooves here. So just like that, and it fits in. Right, now to put the bottom in, basically make sure you've got the right orientation. It's that way, not that way. As you see, they don't line up. So get these. Now we can put the final pieces together. Remember, it only goes one way. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Let's continue on with the video. Right, let's have a look at what speed this cable is that comes with a MiSTer Pi. I've got my little 3DX cable tester here. Check out the review if you haven't already done so. It appears to be only supporting USB 2 speeds because of the absence of the TX2s and the RX1s. But it's quite a good charging cable, but only USB 2.0 speeds. Right, here is my MiSTer setup. I installed the MiSTer Fusion onto the micro SD card and put many of my own custom wallpapers, and this is just one of them. And then I also ran the update all script, which downloaded various cores and things like that from the internet. Let's have a quick look at some of the cores that were downloaded. We have the arcade cores. You can see there's many of them. And then we have computer cores. We have some classic computers from the 80s. We have the Amigas, Amstrads, which I grew up with, and the Atari STs and BBC Micros and Commodore 64s. All these you can load and play around with. Of course, we have the ZX Spectrum, which was a classic here in England, and ZX81, which was my first computer. And then we have various consoles as well. Some of the old Atari console, Game Gear, Game Boys, N64, Neo Geo. We have the NES, PlayStation, which is what PSX is, and we've got the Sega Saturn, SMS, Sega Master System, and we've got the SNES. So there's plenty of cores which you can load the MiSTer with. Okay, I think we'll load some arcade games up and test its features with some arcade ROMs. Right, let's kick things off with X-Men vs Street Fighter. This is the arcade version, and I practiced my infinite combo, which is only available on the arcade version. So one of the perks of owning the MiSTer. I did drop the Commodore a couple of times. I'm a bit rusty, and also I'm using a wireless controller. That's my excuse anyway. Next up is another arcade game for the Capcom System 2. It's Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I used to sink a lot of money into this game in the arcades. The MiSTer does a pretty good job of reproducing it. As you can see, the waves in the background are spot on. Next up, it's Wonder Boy 2 Wonder Boy in Monster Land, and this isn't available as standard. You have to add the files in to your MiSTer setup and get it running that way currently, but it seems to be running pretty well. Here I've got the cheat mode on. It's normally an easy game anyway, but I put the cheat on just to speed things up a little bit. The enemies are dying with one shot due to the cheat mode. They're not normally this easy. Here's RoboCop, one of my favourite games. Used to be able to complete this with one credit as well. See if the glitch is preserved on the FPGA. By the way, you can jump over both these boxes, but I've never managed to do it. You've got to get the spacing right. And as you can see, if you hit it here, you get points. But if you've got two boxes, you get more points. If you manage to jump over the box, let me know. But it seems the glitch is preserved. Next up we have Rygar, and I wanted to show some of the imperfections of the FPGA system. I know this game pretty well because I used to be able to complete it on a single credit. As you can see, this game's not perfect. The mask is sprite's not correct. It's split in half. And some of the dragons that appear at the top are also split in half. If you pull down here and you've got your hundreds as a 0, you get 10,000 points. Right, on to the next game. Next up it's the Neo Geo core with Metal Slug 5. what I wanted to show is this video processing, and you can add scan lines and various other effects. There's some pre-built ones here, which you can see. If you go down to some other preset ones, you can have effects like 4th gen consoles or 3rd gen consoles already made for you, which is great because not everybody has a space for a CRT in their house. And also what's pretty good is that there's not much of a performance penalty either. I think the effects looks great. Didn't this game have some amazing sound effects and music? I never noticed it in the arcades, but here you can really notice it. Here's the Neo Geo system without any additional scanline effects. This is King of Fighters 97, and I think the Neo Geo system greatly benefits from scanlines because it looks blocky without them. Right, I mentioned something earlier about this SNAC, and here it is. It's the SNAC port. SNAC stands for Serial Native Accessory Converter, and it allows you to use original controllers, keyboards and light guns using that port, and it bypasses all the processing overhead and connects it directly with the system being executed. And for it you need a SNAC adapter, and here I have a PlayStation 1. This is a PlayStation 1 version, and it came with this. It didn't come with the MiSTer, I bought it separately from Ali, and this is the extension cable it came with. And what you do is you put it into the SNAC port, and then you plug your adapter into here. And I have an original PlayStation controller. See, there's the adapter, and you plug in into your SNAC adapter, and that's it, you're away. And something that did come with the MiSTer Pi is the level shifter. This helps protect it from damage, but it's not needed in this case here. But for something like the SNES, you need this in here. Okay, now let's try it out with some Gran Turismo and see how we get on. Right, the controller was working fine, and because it's a PlayStation 2 controller, I could use the analog controls as well, and also the rumble was working fine. It was nice and strong, although it was kind of hard to control in the game. I was really good at this game anyway. Next up, I tested Darkstalkers 3, and I thought the port of the PlayStation version was quite faithful to the arcade. I ended up getting carried away and almost completed the game when I was testing it out. Next up, also on the PlayStation 1, is Rival Schools, the first one. It was such an iconic game in the 90s, such a unique game style with two characters on each team. Anyway, I practiced my infinite combo and just to test the lag, and as you can see, it was fine. Right, the next system I tested was the Sega Saturn, and the MiSTer Pi had some of the best Sega Saturn emulation I've seen. It was pretty impressive. Here we are in the middle of Guardian Heroes, and the MiSTer Pi's handling of Sega Saturn emulation is spot on. I thought it was much better than anything I'd seen on any of the ARM-based single board computers. Another game I tested the Sega Saturn core with was Golden Axe the Duel. This was quite an enjoyable game, but it was pretty hard. The controls are similar to how King of Fighters works in doing some of the special moves. Let me know if you play this game and what you think of it. Here is Nintendo 64 emulation. I thought the MiSTer Pi's FPGA emulation was spot on, much better than software emulators of a similar kind. Here is Super Mario 64, one of the best games of all time. And I thought the emulation done by the FPGA was some of the best I've seen coming from the N64 system. Next up, we have one of the computer cores, and it's the Commodore Amiga. Here we have the Amiga Vision, and it's basically a hard drive with somebody put a front end on with a collection of loads of games and demos and crack throws and things like that. And if you had an Amiga, you'll definitely love this collection. I tested Project X out because that brought some memories back for me. Here we are in the thick of the action, and this shoot 'em up reminds me of Gradius. Were there any other decent shoot 'em ups on the Amiga? I think there was Xenon 2 as well. Would have liked to have included Xenon 2, but the video was getting a bit too long.
Destroy waves for power-ups.
Also on the Amiga was Pinball Fantasies, and this is a Partyland table. I remember playing this a lot during the summer on my Amiga. Such a brilliant game. It's time to bring this video to an end. The MiSTer Pi had some great best-in-class hardware emulation, which is more akin to hardware replication of consoles and computers in a very small form factor, all while consuming around 7 to 10 watts. Compared to software emulators, it offered low input lag and the ability to use original peripherals such as game controllers, light guns and disk drives through additional adapters. The MiSTer Pi also offers various video output methods to modern displays via HDMI and the usage of various display filters, which, if you were to do on original consoles using upscalers, could be costly. What I loved about it was that once it was set up, it booted into the menu in around 8 seconds and was pretty resilient to unexpected power offs, which is good as you don't have to worry about long shutdown times and file corruptions. Now, some things I didn't like. It's got a noisy fan, which was especially noticeable once the case was on. Also, the instructions for building the case were non-existent and it took me longer than expected to assemble it. Not all the emulation was perfect. It's only as good as the core developer's implementation, as seen in the Riga footage. Now, is it worth it? It's up to you to decide. With it having only 110,000 logic elements, it can't emulate anything beyond 5th generation consoles, so 6th gen consoles cannot be emulated. Anyway, thanks for watching my review. If you like this video, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up. And I'll see you next time.